And so, and so, and so, and so, and so. And so, and so, and so, and so, and so. And so, and so, and so, and so, and so. All right, Chaver, B'siyat D'Shmai L'Kavod Hegel Shabbos. We're moving forward with Rabbi Nachman, Sichot Haran, and we're on the 41st Sicha in the Sichot Haran. Beautiful. Okay, so brokenheartedness and depression are not at all the same, says Rabbi Nachman. Brokenheartedness involves the heart. Ki leiv nishbar hu balev. Aval atzvut hu ba min hatchol. While depression involves the spleen. Depression comes from the other side. It is hated by God, but a broken heart is very dear and precious to God. It would be very good to be broken-hearted all day long, but for the average person, this can easily degenerate into depression. So what does Rabbi Nachman say? We know that the Ribono Shel Olam loves the broken heart, but if one is in the broken heart for too long, that could lead to depression, which is something that God doesn't love. So how can we have a healthy balance? You should therefore set aside time each day and isolate yourself to express your brokenheartedness to God for a given time. But the rest of the day should be joyful. The Rebbe emphasized this many times, telling us not to be brokenhearted except for a fixed time each day. Other than during that period, we should always be joyful, but depressed, never. Never, never, never. Ba'asus cloud low. Ushar kol yom yeh b'simcha. We should merit to have a simcha all day long. So Chavra, Rabbi Nachman was teaching us the importance of hibodedut, the importance of setting aside time to connect with the Ribono Shel Olam, or really just setting aside, whether we label as hibodedut or not, but really setting aside time, no matter where it is, to express our brokenheartedness to the Ribono Shel Olam. So I want to look at a teaching, Likutei Moharan 23 in the Tinyana. So in the second volume of Likutei Moharan, we're going to look at the topic of simcha. Rabbi Nachman, I see here in the footnotes, by the way, great footnotes. Breslov Research Institute, Chaim Kramer put this together. Beautiful, beautiful. So in the second footnote, if you guys are following on page 455, Rabbi Nachman, there's teachings all across the Likutei Moharan where Rabbi Nachman shows the value of having joy. So I'll just read off to you the list because it's unbelievable. I mean, we just have to know like the importance of joy, even for one moment. By performing a mitzvah with joy, one enters into the joy of the Holy One. Joy is the key to attaining holy boldness. By the way, the first one was just by performing a mitzvah with joy, one enters into the joy of the Holy One. So maybe the Holy One, blessed be He, was joyous beforehand, and there's always joy. Maybe that's what Rabbi Nachman is saying, that we should be joyous always. Joy is the vitality of life. Joy eliminates the evil of the other side and so strengthens holiness. Joy is the key for entering the holy realm. Spiritual fervor is the wine of joy. Joy makes one mindful of the world to come. Joy safeguards the heart from the illusions of this world. Joy is the container for original Torah insights. The joy of recognizing God's closeness brings one to expanded consciousness. Joy is the key to guarding the holy Brit, moral purity. And a couple more. Joy is the root of all the mitzvot. Joy renews the divine will inherent in all of creation, and the joy of Shabbos is the gateway to freedom and perfected fear of God. So we're just seeing the opportunities, what joy brings us and can bring us at every given moment. So Rabbi Nachman has a piece in the Likutei Moharan which is so special. An analogy. Sometimes when people are happy and dancing, they grab someone standing outside the circle who's depressed and gloomy. Against his will, they bring him into the circle of dancers. Against his will, they force him to be happy along with them. So not only are they bringing him into the circle against his will, but they're also forcing him to be happy with them against his will. Rabbi Nachman saying this twice, against his will and against his will. I didn't see this last time I looked at this. Against his will twice. So against his will, they bring him to the circle of dancers. So that's one level. Another level, against his will, they force him to be happy with them. It's not enough to just bring him in the circle, but rather he has to be joyous with them. It is the same with happiness. When a person is happy, gloom and suffering stand aside. Yet greater still, says Rabbi Nachman, is to gather courage to actually pursue the gloom and to introduce it into joy, such that the gloom itself turns into joy. A person should transform gloom and all suffering into joy. It is like a person who comes to a celebration, the abundant joy and happiness, and transform all of his worries, depression, and gloom into joy. We found that he's grabbed the gloom and introduced it against his will into the joy, as aforementioned analogy. This is the concept, as we see in a pasuk in Isaiah. They will attain gladness and joy as sadness and sighing flee. The sadness and sighing flee and they run from joy. For at a time of joy is the nature of sadness and sighing to stand aside. Yet one actually has to pursue them and to catch up with and to reach them in order to specifically introduce them into joy. Basically bring them into the circle against their will, yet they're not on a level of actually being forced to be joyous. Now that you're in the circle, they're not at this moment being forced into joy against their will. And a double force, I love that. Against their will twice. Good catch by good catch. Thank you, Ribbon Hashem. This is the meaning of they will attain gladness and joy. Gladness and joy will catch up with and seize the sadness and sighing as they flee and run from joy in order to introduce them against their will into joy. For there are types of sadness, and we're going to conclude this, that are sighing, and that from the other side, that they do not want to be a vehicle for holiness, and so they flee from joy. Consequently, one needs to force them into holiness, the joy against their will. So, b'siyata d'shmaya, we see this with the analogy of the person dancing, or not even dancing, standing on the side, and the people who are dancing, they're like, Chavra, Chavra, come in. Come in. And then we take that person in against their will, and they're standing in the circle. They feel like a little bit uncomfortable. They kind of want to leave. It's not their natural, it's not what they're feeling at that point. But then we're like, no, 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 you have to jump. You have to put people on your shoulders, and you have to, ah, Tamar, how are you? So, Tamar, how are you? You
Hey,
good?
yeah,
Perfect.
I hear
Okay, perfect. So quick before we go, you came at the best time. So we're just talking about a circle of people dancing. Now there's someone who is gloomy on the outside, someone who's not really feeling it, not wanting to dance. But they're like, Chavra, get in the circle. So the guy comes in the circle, but he's really not feeling comfortable. He's not feeling comfortable. He's going against his will by being in the circle to begin with, and is not actually feeling the joy and the dancing of the people who are doing so in the circle. So then there's a second level that Rabbi Nachman says it's not enough to just bring that gloomy person into the circle, but rather you have to force that person to be happy. You have to turn and elevate that uncomfortableness and that sadness into joy. So really just in our lives, we should just be mindful that when we have, this when we are joyous, there could be parts of ourselves that are a little bit gloomy. And they're trying to run away from us. They're trying to run away as fast as they can, as far away as they can. Rabbi Nachman is teaching us, be aware of those places inside of ourselves, and instead of just letting them go and for them to return after the fact, maybe when you're less joyous and when you could feel that gloominess more, really at the time of joy, bring those feelings in, bring those pieces of us into the circle and introduce them to joy. And on a higher level, actually transforming and using that gloominess into a vehicle of actually elevating it to the highest level of joy, even higher than what the joy was prior into that circle of dancing. Because when we're able to take something that's draw it down from a very low place, we could draw it down, we could, bring it to the highest places. So we should be zocha. We should be zocha. All right. Fired up. Even stealing Torah at a gym. It's incredible. Incredible.
I
All right,
can't
tomorrow
miss
we'll be
it.
in touch. We'll be in touch.
Bye.
All right, fired up.
Barish